Again, my name is Mary Beth Lyles. I have, as I look down the list of names, I know I've talked with a lot of you or emailed with a lot of you. I am the outreach coordinator for Future Cities, um, recruiting and pairing you with your teams. I think our purpose tonight is to first tell you what's special about the Future Cities competition and why we are so passionate about it. We want to tell you a little bit about what your role is, what you can expect from the competition as a mentor, and how to help your team do well. Please, at any time, you can um, ask a question, and we're more than happy to answer it. I do want to start by telling you that the background check is a new thing this year. I imagine this is the way that the world is going. If you're going to work with young children, background check is needed. We are going to be sending you in the very, very near future a Visa gift card for $25 to reimburse you for what you spent for your background check. So be sure to be looking for that to come to you in the mail very soon. So what is so special about the Future Cities competition? I've been involved in this competition, and I know Patty has too, for about 20 years. Um, First, before I was a teacher, I was an engineer for 10 years. Then I was a teacher, and I have done the Future Cities competition most of the time that I was a teacher. I'm quite passionate about it because this is the one competition. It is a competition on a national level for grades 6, 7th, and 8th. What makes this so what sets this apart from other competitions, um, children get to it's very cross-curricular project-based learning, as we say in education. Children touch on the language arts standards, the math standards, the social studies standards, the science standards. They just about touch on everything as they think about what are some of the issues, the critical issues that are facing the earth today, and how that they can design a way for us to be better about this in the future. And this slide, I think, says it all: sustainability. Um, we don't live a very sustainable lifestyle on the planet Earth. And unfortunately, it's not our generation, but the next generation that's going to have to deal with some of the mistakes that we've made, like plastic. Big mistake. Who ever thought that it would be a major polluter on the earth? So these are the kids that are going to have to take care of this. And I should say to you, what's really exciting about this year, a record number of kids have signed up so far. I was in a meeting today. Over 61,000 kids have signed up to be in this program this year. So this is absolutely fantastic. What are some of the issues facing the earth today? You and I both know this. The carrying capacity. We have a population that's quickly outpacing the Earth's ability to maintain this population. We have limited resource, population growth, climate control, and I am so glad to see the theme for this year finally come up because this underlies everything. Later, when we send you out this, oh, Patty, do you want to put that link, the Earth's population video, in the chat? If you'd
Chat.
like to, excuse me?
It's in the chat now.
Oh, it's in the chat now. Thank you. I can't see the chat. If you would like to take a look at this later, this is how I always started my year with the kids, to show them it's a visual on how basically since the industrial era and the advent of antibiotics, population control has quickly outstripped our ability to um, sustain it. And the next slide, it says some really concerning facts about the food. If it takes 1.1 acres of land to sustain one person in the United States, in 100 years, there's going to be about half of that available per person. What do we do? This was a topic. Urban agriculture was a topic a few years ago. Water. Almost 2.5 billion people don't have access to adequate sanitation. And as you know, like in the southwestern part of our country, um, terrible water shortage with agriculture. That's one of our big agricultural things. Water resources was a topic a few years ago. Waste has come up quite a few times in the last couple years. Last year was a year. We produced 4.39 pounds of trash per person per day. Where is it going to go? Is there a way that we can be smarter about this? So this year, I am thrilled to say I have voted for this for a long time, climate change. The kids are going to be researching a way to one mitigation and one adaptation. And Patty is going to be putting some more links in the chats to these two videos, a national video about climate change and a North Carolina video about climate change that you can look at when you get a chance. What is really important for you to remember as a mentor? I think, you know, first in the forefront of your brain, the people that you are working with are educators. They're not engineers. They're not really familiar with the engineering process, project management. They are experts in education. So what your big job to do is for these teachers and for these kids, develop familiarity with engineering and what engineers do. When you ask this age level, a lot of times they're going to tell you an engineer is the conductor on a train. Don't laugh, it's true. They really don't know about the engineering design process, which is a big aspect of this competition. No idea about project management. I will tell you, having been a middle school teacher for many years, they have no idea how to set goals and meet a deadline to get a project done. Also, I mean, they're planning cities and they really don't know about city planning, zoning, infrastructure. This is where you'll come in as the engineer mentor for this team. Patty, you want to take over from now?
Yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about engineering. And I know we don't require you to be a engineer to be a mentor, but that's part of the program and just introducing them to different career fields and different things. And so we listed here just the variety of different engineering careers that they could think about and implement in their design, their city design, and to think about how each one of these might play a role in the design of their future city.
Or someday they might want to be an engineer. It's not an engineer just doesn't build bridges. If you are interested in space, you could be an aerospace engineer. If you're interested in medicine, you could be a biomedical engineer and design my new knee implant.
We have, over the research of years, discovered that a lot of people that come into this field, into engineering and stuff, really only did it because their parents were engineers or something like that. So introducing them to this field, even though they might not have family members that are, is very important to help them understand different fields that are out there for them to investigate and explore. We just wanted to hit on the engineering process. And so this is part of the Future City programming. It's in the handbook, and it goes over how to break down the engineering process and what it is. So it kind of identifying the problem, and learning about the specifics of the project, the aspect of something, and then planning solutions and designing it, and then going back and building it, testing it, improving it, redesigning it, and then reviewing it or implementing it into their projects. So this is kind of high on the ticket to kind of help them understand and go through this aspect of design process.
You'll find this kids this age, they're just happy to hand something in. They've never heard of testing it and revising it. That's just not in their vocabulary. So it's your job to help them realize it may not work the first time.
And then they are responsible for this engineering project plan, and we just kind of want to introduce this to y'all. When they're designing their city and there's different components and aspects to it that they should, the first part of it is setting a goals of what they want to achieve, and then scheduling it of how they see implementing that and how they're going to make that happen. And then checking and making sure that they're on task and that they're hitting their milestones of what, you know, they think they should have done by a certain stage, and then trying to improve their process and where they're at. This is all in the handbook in more details, kind of covers these steps, but that's something I guess we're looking to make sure the students are integrated into. And there are is there scoring for all this, or that's separate
Yeah.
step? Yeah. Um, the engineering project plan, and so it's, you know, this is in the table of contents, but it's set up like an engineer would plan a project and manage a project, you know, identifying the problem, planning it out, implementing it, and then kind of going back and reviewing and QCing your work and preparing to present it. We just wanted to highlight the program handbook. As a registered mentor, you should have access to this on the Future City website. You should be able to get in there, and under the resource pages is the handbook. We highly recommend that you download it and kind of just read through it. It may be fairly long, but there's a lot of rules and things in there that it'll be your handbook for if a kid asks a question and maybe you don't know the handbook. And please, at any time, me, Mary Beth, and our chair, Charlotte, you know, we're here to assist you in all this. So feel free to reach out to us if there's something you don't understand. You know, we'll definitely help steer you in the right direction. But it covers the program overview. It covers the challenge, which the climate change challenge. It talks about the deliverables, what they're expected to deliver, and we'll have our dates to show you when those things are due. It has example questions and checklists, so you know you could go through it and make sure that they're checking all the boxes. There's also other resources on that website for you to use, some examples, some more detailed information on climate change. There's tips in the book, and then it also steps through that process of defining, planning, doing, and reviewing. And you can, of course, let us know. We can get you a PDF of the handbook if you have issues accessing it online. Please let us know. Mary Beth, you want to talk about the deliverables?
Sure, I will. This is a competition. So the students will do several different what we call deliverables and turn them in at different times. And we'll talk a bit about the dates. But these are the different deliverables that the kids, you know, will go through: the essay, the model, the presentation, question and answer, plus the project plan. And we're going to talk a little bit about each one of those in detail. And I wouldn't mind if you asked a question as we went through this, so you understand this. Now, the first thing that's coming up is the essay. This is a 1,500-word essay, which describes their city, what's special about it, the demographics, how they do transportation, which engineers helped to design it. Plus, they also talk about their solution to this year's challenge, which is climate change. One innovative, futuristic adaptation, and one mitigation. This essay is due 2 weeks from tomorrow by 5 o'clock. And I'm working with the teachers today and tomorrow on how to set up their team and to submit this. So this is the essay. Now,
And that's worth 50 points.
it's worth 50 points, yeah.
I don't do you know what the total is overall? I guess we could see that
210
here.
or 212.
212. Okay.
Now, as someone who has coached a team before, I'm going to tell you one of my big secrets on how to do well with this competition. Each of the deliverables has a rubric that's associated with it, where they can earn between 0 and 4 or 0 and 5 points. And I used to have my kids, when they would write the essay, I'd hand the essay back to them and say, run through the 4 points. Have you done this have you earned 4 points in each section. Why I choose to highlight these two things, this is where you as an engineer will be able to help the kids. I will tell you 11, risk, trade-off, and compromises. Most teams do very poorly on that line item. Understanding that you might build a vertical farm. It's great because it grows enough food and it's right there. You don't have to transport it in from South America. But boy, oh boy, that thing costs a lot of money. So that is one aspect that you can directly help the kids with. The other, number 12, looking looking to get 4 points. This kids specifically have to say more than two, let's say three disciplines of engineering that help design their city: an environmental engineer, a structural engineer, a civil engineer, who help design their city, and what do they do. That's an easy one to get all the points off of, and that's where you can say to them, well, what different kinds of engineers do you think help design your cities? The second component is the model. Now, there's a lot of ins and outs about the model that's worth 60 points. Some things that you may want to know about this as the engineer. I would steer away from this multiple model segments that came in last year when kids were, isolated with COVID. It's much easier for the kids to do one single model. The model does have to measure a certain height, width, and length. That's all in the competition book. Every model has to have at least one moving part. And it's better if this moving part works on its own, like with a motor or a solar panel or something like that, or batteries. This is one way that you can get really involved. I remember one year my team did a vacuum train with a coil of wire with the batteries with a neodymium magnets, and that little battery will go right around there. And that was their one of their moving parts. But I'll tell you, to engineer that thing to make it work, they had to, go through the engineering process many times. So that's one thing that you can be working on with their team. It has to come in for less than $100. The teacher will probably worry more about this. This should be built with mostly recycled materials, and that's one of the things they're graded on. If you have donations, like somebody gets you a little set of the string of Christmas lights, you have to declare a value for that. If you buy something, you have to save the receipt and send it in. Like I say, it's mostly the teacher that does this, but make sure it stays under $100 or you lose some points. Another thing that you can work with your students on is the scale. I've had a couple teachers ask me today, how do I get a scale where I can show everything, but, so you may want to help them think about 1 centimeter equals 10 meter. Somebody was going to do 1 inch equals 10 miles today. Not, that'll be a funny looking model, but, kind of sit with your kids with different pieces of the recyclable materials that they bring in and say, well, what building could this be? And what scale would fit this, but would fit over here in this too? This is due on competition day, and we should say right up front, competition day, Saturday, January 21st, starting about 9 o'clock at the McKinnon Center in North Carolina State University. Now on the next slide, on the next slide.
Yep, sorry, I went too far.
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
Let's go. Yeah, there we go. Now, here are some of the things that I want to some words that I want to give you that your kids and your teacher are not going to know. Infrastructure is a word that they should know, because they might be asked a question about their infrastructure. What is it? Kids this age don't know what zoning is. Commercial, residential, industrial. You don't put your garbage dump next to your high income housing. What services are needed in a city? Police, fire, schooling. I've had a couple years where my kids forgot the wastewater treatment plant and somebody asked us a question about it. Whoops. Resiliency is a big word today. This came up with the power theme a couple years ago, a resilient power grid. Also, I don't know if we put the word redundancy. How can you build redundancy into your systems so if they fail, you've got a backup? Of course, what kinds of engineers developed your city and what scale might you use? These are things you want to think out with the model. The third component due on competition day is a cute little presentation, a little skit, 7 minutes, and the skit will go for 7 minutes in their time. They can have posters, brochures to help with this, other demonstration aids like brochures or models or whatever have to fit into a shoebox. Some ideas that I've seen, some cute little ideas. I've seen fairy tales. I've seen planning for the Winter Olympics. I have seen
I've seen Wizard of Oz.
the Wizard of Oz. Yeah. So a cute little skit. Some people do a news broadcast, but it's try to get your team to be a little bit creative. Think out of the box. What's entertaining? The entertainment factor does get them some of their 50 points, but mostly it's for their content.
And they will be
Um,
presenting that in front of a panelist of judges. It could be like
mhm,
anywhere from 3 to 5 judges, engineering
mhm.
or industrial professionals,
Professionals. They can have
industry professionals.
costumes, but
Yeah,
no, they can't have any video or multimedia stuff, but they can have costumes, and
and
posters
prop.
and brochures help as well. Again, here's the rubric. Here's how you can help your team. The engineering design process. Part of their skit, they should just come right out and say, oh geez, it didn't work at first, but we use the engineering design process through this. That's 5 points out of 212. That's a lot of points. Again, do they understand what engineers are and what they do, and they help design the city? And again, the risk trade-off and compromises come out, that you can help them talk about in building their city, make sure they're there. The fourth component on competition day, right after they present their skit, they have a question and answer sentence or session with their judges, about 8 minutes. A completely separate rubric. This is 42 points. I would encourage your team, if you've got 3 presenters, if a question is asked, example, what kind of engineers help design your city? Student 1 should answer with one engineer, student 2 with a different, student 3 with a different. Make sure they work together, and they're all answering the questions. And some of these questions, they're in the handbook, some ideal questions. But get your team so that they each answer a little bit, because teamwork counts a lot in this question and answer. Here is the rubrics that specifically deal with engineering. Do they understand engineering? Again, and here comes their project management skills. Can they? What problems did you have? How did you work it out? How did you stick with your schedule, etc. Like things like that. The fifth part, I think, as a middle school teacher, I think this is huge. Middle school kids don't know how to plan. They don't know how to set goals and deadlines. They don't know how to meet their deadlines. I can't tell you how many projects I got at school that were late or not done, and they come the day before report cards are due and want to make it up. Well, that really doesn't cut it in the engineering world, and that's one of the biggest lessons I think you could probably teach them. This project plan has 4 parts. Part 1, they've kind of been doing now. They had to set goals for themselves. What resources did they have? What they want to accomplish. Part 2 is a schedule. They have to show how they are, how they've planned to meet their deadline. For example, the essay. Part 3 is a little bit about like I guess you would call it a project team meeting. How are we doing? What has to be done this week type of thing. And part 4 is reflecting on what they could have done a little bit better. This is important. It's only worth 10 points, but this is your chance to show them that in the real world on your assessment, on your year-long assessment, you might be assessed on things like organization and time management and communication and teamwork. These 21st century soft skills, we call them as teachers, that are hard to teach, Speaking of dates, our dates for North Carolina, all of our teams have registered. We have 42 teams registered this year, which is a record number for us. Some, I shouldn't say teams, 42 schools, and each school can bring up to 3 teams, depending on how they do it. Some have an after-school club where they're just going to bring 1 team. Some are doing this as a class project, and several schools are bringing 2 to 3 teams. So we have a lot of scoring to do, I think, for the judges.
And I would just say that if somebody is mentoring a school, there's some schools might have like 15 teams, but they would have to narrow that down to 3 to come to competition. And they sometimes do that with the essays to see who does the best. So I don't know if somebody's mentoring a school like that.
Smoky Mountain comes to my mind. I'm not sure who that mentor is, but they've got 11 teams right now, and they're going to narrow it down and bring 3.
And that might be part of your role as a mentor to help narrow down which team.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Specialty awards. We have, of course, at the competition day, there's the top 5 teams with a first place team going on to nationals in February during engineering week. We also have several specialty awards, and these specialty awards might be things like best transportation, best use of an airport, best bridge, best environmental plan, best oh, help me with some, Patty.
Use of power or security or
your I think sponsors teamwork, does it not?
Yes, best teamwork. And we will probably provide a list of what some of those specialty awards are before the competition, or will they know?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Might I say, and I shamelessly plug as the outreach person, if your company would like to sponsor a specialty award, I think there's a small donation, and we'd like them to send a couple of judges to judge it. But because we have so many teams, and we really try to get as many specialty awards as we can, so more kids can walk home with an award. You might want to ask the powers that be at your company, gee, could we sponsor best transportation or something? Oh, Benjamin, question.
Yeah, so I guess I missed the previous slide. The city essay is due in 2 weeks?
2 weeks, right? December 2nd.
Okay.
And the team should have already been working on that. I mean, if you've just now joining the team as a mentor.
Yeah, Benjamin, I have to assign you to a team, and maybe if you want to stay on at the end of this call, we can talk about which team you'd like to pair up with.
Okay, because also the January 21st, I guess when I was looking on the website, I only saw the national date. I can't make that day.
That's all right. A lot of times mentors don't, but
Okay.
your job is really to get your team ready.
Okay.
Good
Thank
questions. Project plan, media waivers. These are all things that I have to worry about. Patty, do mentors have to sign a media waiver?
I don't think so. I think the media waiver is just for minors.
Okay. And like I say, our competition is January 21st at McKinnon Center. And one of our teams will go on to represent us at the national competition. Oh, and I've said a lot about that already.
Yeah. So on competition day, which again is Saturday, January 21st at McKinnon Center, the students will come from we got students from all across North Carolina, some from Boone, some from Pamlico. So, we're going to have probably 40 schools there, which would probably be a lot more than 400 students, or possibly could be. And then that would include some of the teachers, the mentors, their family and friends. So we're
Mhm.
probably talking over 800, maybe 1,000 people at this conference center. So it's very exciting, very fun atmosphere, and it's nice because you could go around, as you kind of see in the picture. You can go around and look at the other team models, especially if you haven't done this before. It's very interesting to see what some of the other teams did, and it'll really inspire your team if you come back and do it next year. So I think they can really grow and learn from the other students. So in the morning is a preliminary round. So that's when they'll do their presentation and judge Q&A, and they'll be called into a separate room in front of a judging panel, and they'll do their presentation there. I believe in those judging rooms, it's only
Mhm.
that team is allowed, that
Yeah.
that team and their family. Like people from other teams can't go in and watch your presentation.
It's
So
fine.
we limit that, and then they'll be scored, and all that score will be tallied. And so um, then the we'll gather all the scores from all that presentation, their essays, everything, add it together and during the lunch hour, and then we'll announce. We'll all go into one big conference room, and we'll have probably a keynote speaker, and then we'll announce the top 5 teams, and then those 5 teams will actually come up on the stage in front of the whole group of everybody in attendance and do their presentation in front of a specialty uh, panelist of judges, some really key high ranking officials, and they'll have to again do their same presentation again in front of a judging. And then that's where we'll pick our official winner to represent North Carolina in the national competition in Washington, D.C. So it's very exciting. And I believe that we pay for their trip to DC, and
Yeah.
and it's a very exciting, and of course that'll be represented. Then it's a national competition, and I mean it might not be in all 50 states, but it's pretty close. There's almost a
There's
representation
38
from almost
regions.
every state, including Canada, and I think we've even had folks from China and some different
China and Egypt.
um come. So it's very exciting. So hopefully, and if your team happens to get to go, then I think as a mentor you get to go also.
Yes, I believe they do.
So it's very exciting. And if you've never been to the competition, it is got a very exciting atmosphere, and the kids really enjoy it. And of course, we'll be doing some prizes. They'll get some swag bags, some t-shirts. So we have a lot of things going on.
Mhm.
So that's a brief overview. Here on this final screen is just some of our contacts. Like Charlie, I don't think he's on this call, but he is our regional coordinator, Charlie Townsend, and that's the email that you can reach out to him. And then we have Mary Beth, who is actually our NC regional outreach coordinator. And I'm Patty Jordan, the North Carolina regional logistics coordinator. So that's kind of our overview of presentations. We do want to open it up for y'all to ask your questions. So yeah, we'd love to have you, and we're excited that you've taken the step to be a mentor. I'm
We are
just kind of
so thankful for your help. We can't even begin to tell you. Having taught for a number of years, um, having you as a role model for these kids at this specific age makes such a difference. I have had many kids from my teams go on to be environmental engineers, aeronautical engineers, technical writers. It really does make a difference. David, can we help you?
Yeah, thank you very much. I was writing down some of the dates when you guys were talking about how many schools and how many teams per school. It, were we supposed to, or are we supposed to help them filter down to just one team? I'm currently paired up with a school that says they have 3 teams. Are they all 3 going?
Yes, they can,
Okay.
it's up to them. Our rule in North Carolina is you can bring up to 3 teams from a given school. Um, the way some people, especially those who do this for a special class, they'll have like a 6th grade, a 7th grade, and an 8th grade team. So yeah, up to 3 schools can come.
3 teams per school. Okay.
Sure.
And it may be up to the teacher. I don't know whether the teacher already has a method of narrowing down like who's going. If they happen to have more than 3 teams, the
Mhm.
teacher might have a method, or maybe that is something you assist with as a mentor. They might want you to be the person who kind of selects, or And we are grading all essays from, if the
Mhm.
school has 10 teams, we're going to grade all 10 essays. Mary Beth, did they get to see the scores once we score them? They'll know what their scores are?
Um, I imagine that we could probably pass that information to that school, who
Yeah.
are the top 5 essays, and they have to decide,
So yes, if you have that circumstance, please just reach out to us if you don't see the scores and you need some help with something like that. We're more than willing to help.
Thank you very much.
Are there other questions we can ask or answer?
We're still in the planning logistics of the competition, so there's still some moving parts, about the event day logistics and things like that. But Future Cities is looking to offer teams some kind of travel stipend to get to the McKimmon Center, and we haven't quite figured out whether that's based on mileage or how we're going to work that. But that is something to look forward to, or that you could share.
Christopher.
Yes, I was wondering if we just got on board and guess we don't have we're not partnered with a school yet, when will that come forth?
Well, now that is an interesting thing. Christopher. I'm looking for your name on my list.
We just kind of passed forth emails and stuff yesterday.
Okay. Maybe stay on at the end of this call. Because what's happening is with their CMS system, their competition management system where you registered, might I just say that they didn't use the engineering process when they designed the system, because there has been a great deal of problems getting our mentors registered on a timely basis. So if I know you're out there and you have registered, I can take your name, address, and I will pair you with a school tonight.
Okay, let me go back and make sure. I guess I didn't pick up on that. I might not have registered yet, so that might be part of the problem.
Okay. But even still, stay on so I can make sure. Anybody who is not paired with a school yet, I know Benjamin, you are not. Stay on a little bit after the call, and I'll get your demographics and we'll see who to pair you with.
Okay, thank you.
And so, yeah, the way that this system works is that we pair you with the school, and then we kind of leave it up to the two of y'all to discuss how to work out how many times you come visit the class, or doing it virtually, or how all that works. So we don't really dictate how that happens. We kind of try to let y'all work that out amongst yourself and how much time you as a mentor have to volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
But we would highly encourage you to go at least once to see the team in person. I mean, it's just especially to see their model and what they're doing, and to maybe help them through their presentation, let them present in front of you, because they definitely need to practice their presentation in front of people and have people ask them questions just so they can practice how to answer those, and you could give them tips on how they're doing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And of course, as a mentor, we don't want you doing any of the work. We want them to do all the work. But I think it's up to you to help guide them in a good direction, and say,
Yeah.
well, no, you need to look at that. The scale of this building and that building are off. You need to kind of adjust that. Some things in that nature, or definitely with the essay coming up, you definitely want to read through their essay and give them advice, and the teacher will probably be doing that too, but you might see it from a different perspective than they do, and definitely compare it to the rubric and what the scores are, what they're getting scored on, so you can make sure that it's that they've hit all those boxes.
Yeah. Because like I said, risks and trade-offs are quite often score low on the essay. Other questions?
I was going to share this picture. This is that's me, and that's Mary Beth. I was her mentor and she was the teacher. So
that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, So you're getting a good advice from people who've been through the program.
Oh, Lord have
So
mercy. Put that
please
away.
reach out to us anytime with questions, and we'll try to get you an answer.
There you go. And to
There-
close up, might I say, we cannot tell you how much we appreciate the time that
Yeah.
you're spending with our students. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And if you have any friends, neighbors, or countrymen who you might work with, or people in your family or friends, we are recruiting for judges now. Because we have a record number of students and teams, we're recruiting for judges frantically. A mentor cannot be a judge, but your friends can. And if your company would like to sponsor a specialty award, we're in the process of arranging those now too. So thank
And
you.
we have a sponsorship like letter or form. So if you want
Mm-hmm.
that, please just reach out to me. I can be sure to get you that information. And be sure to check our website at the Future City has just rechanged their website. If you went there a while ago, they just revamped it. And so hopefully you can find the North Carolina region. We have our own page that we post our own local stuff on. So you can go there for updates and more information. We'll try to keep it up to date and add it to it. Yeah.
Okie doke.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. And if you haven't been paired with somebody yet, if you want to hang around a couple minutes, I can take care of that right now.
Yeah, and somebody asked how can they submit to be a judge? Again, you would just go to the Future City website, and I think there's a button. I know it's at the very bottom of the page to register here as a volunteer or judge. So they could go there and do that, and then we'll be assigning those in the coming weeks.
And there's meeting and training for judges too, for all aspects. So don't worry.
As of right now, we don't plan to have another meeting with mentors. So I guess the best way, if you have questions come up, would be just to email Mary Beth or I for your questions. And
We're
then
here
hopefully
for you.
we'll get to see y'all at competition day. Y'all be sure to come
Yeah.
up and introduce yourself.
We'll be the ones running around like chickens without their head.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. And we can't say how much we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, Patty, if you want to turn off the recording.